What if Module Yuji was at Shinjuku Showdown? Now, Shinjuku Showdown was at the end of the series where everybody fought. If you guys don't want spoilers, click off the video, but this is where Gojo fought Sukuna and got jumped, and that's why he lost. If you guys disagree with me, comment down below, because Gojo should have won that. Just because Sukuna had not his original abilities, he had somebody else's and stuff like that. But anyway, Module Yuji gets reborn right after Gojo gets unsealed. Now, why I did this is because I couldn't have him reborn after Gojo fought Sukuna, because at that point, Sukuna would be way too weak for Yuji, since after fighting Gojo, Sukuna couldn't use his domain expansion anymore and had everything messed up from all the infinite void. So I want him to fight before Gojo. But anyway, let's get right into it. So the second Module Yuji appears, everybody immediately notices something is different about him. At first, they think it's just normal Yuji acting weird after everything that happened in Shibuya and the culling games, but the cursed energy coming off of him feels completely different. It honestly feels closer to Sukuna than Yuji. And honestly, the person most confused is Gojo, because Gojo immediately realizes Yuji somehow got massively stronger out of nowhere. Not just physically either, his cursed energy control, output, reaction speed, all of it feels completely different. Even the way Yuji stands and talks feels off. Meanwhile, Module Yuji already knows everything that's about to happen. He already knows Gojo is about to fight Sukuna, knows Kashimo's gonna lose, knows Higuruma dies, literally all of it. So instead of panicking like everybody else about the upcoming fight, Yuji stays completely calm the entire time. Then eventually training starts before the Shinjuku battle. And honestly, this is where everybody starts realizing how broken Module Yuji actually is. The first time Yuji spars with Maki, he completely overwhelms her in hand-to-hand combat almost instantly. Even with heavenly restriction, Maki realizes Yuji's physical strength somehow feels even worse than before. Then when Yuji starts mixing shrine techniques into his fighting style, the spar ends almost immediately. Yuta also notices something's wrong fast. During training, Yuji starts using cleave and dismantle with way more precision than Sukuna ever showed before. At one point, Yuji even lands consecutive black flashes during sparring, like he's doing it on purpose. And that honestly starts freaking everybody out, because black flash isn't supposed to work like that. Then eventually, Gojo decides to personally test Yuji himself. At first, it starts off casually, but the second Yuji actually starts fighting back seriously, the entire atmosphere changes. Yuji starts keeping up with Gojo physically, while mixing in shrine attacks and divergent fist at the same time. Gojo still has the advantage because of infinity, but even Gojo starts realizing Yuji's growth rate is completely unnatural. Then things get even crazier when Yuji reveals reverse curse technique. At that point, Yuta and Shoko both realize Yuji somehow evolved massively in an insanely short amount of time. And honestly, nobody fully understands how he even got this strong. But instead of being scared, Gojo actually starts getting excited, because for the first time in a long time, Gojo starts thinking Yuji might actually become strong enough to stand beside him during the fight against Sukuna. But anyway, while they're all training and preparing for the Shinjuku fight, Yuji finally sits everybody down and explains everything that's supposed to happen. He explains how Gojo loses, how Sukuna adapts through Mahoraga, how Kashimo dies, how Higuruma dies. Literally every major moment of the fight, all the way down to the world-cutting slash that kills Gojo in the original timeline. And honestly, this changes everything, because now Gojo can't walk into the fight thinking he's untouchable anymore. For the first time in his life, there's actually a dent in Gojo's ego. He still believes he's the strongest, but hearing every single detail of how he dies completely changes the way he approaches the battle. But instead of getting scared, Gojo honestly starts loving this whole situation, because now he has somebody who can actually push him. So for the next entire month, Gojo and Module Yuji train together constantly. And honestly, this is probably the strongest training month in the entire series. Yuji can use almost every single ability Sukuna has, besides the 10 Shadows technique. He has blood manipulation, shrine techniques, reverse curse technique, black flash almost at will, insane physical strength, and cursed energy control that honestly starts rivaling Sukuna himself. At first, everybody else tries training with them too, but eventually most of them can't even keep up anymore. Every spar between Gojo and Yuji starts destroying entire sections of the training ground. At one point, Yuji even uses the world-cutting slash during training, and the second Gojo barely dodges it, he instantly realizes that if Sukuna landed that attack cleanly in the original timeline, there was honestly almost nothing he could have done. So this time, Gojo completely changes the way he fights. He starts training himself to constantly stay alert, instead of relying on the idea that infinity automatically protects him from everything. He also starts taking Mahoraga way more seriously, after Yuji explains exactly how adaptation works. And honestly, Gojo loves every second of this month. For the first time in forever, he finally has somebody strong enough to truly train with him, instead of just getting left behind immediately. Half the time, their training honestly starts looking more like actual death matches than sparring. Then eventually, Yuji offers to fight Sukuna himself instead, because realistically, Yuji already knows he could probably beat Sukuna at this point, but Gojo still refuses. Not because he doubts Yuji, but because Gojo genuinely wants the fight himself. After hearing how the original battle ended, Gojo honestly starts viewing this rematch differently. This time, he isn't fighting to prove he's the strongest anymore. He mainly wants to finally go all out against somebody on his level without holding anything back. And now, there's finally a backup plan, because if Gojo loses this time, everybody already knows Module Yuji is waiting right behind him. So eventually the day of the battle arrives, Gojo still pulls up to Shinjuku, still fires the massive hollow purple at the start of the fight, and the battle against Sukuna officially begins. Alright guys, sorry for the interruption, but me and Noir Ronin are partnering up. They make some of the cleanest anime merch I've seen. My favorites are definitely the Demon Slayer pieces, but they also just dropped new Jujutsu Kaisen stuff, like the Domain expansion drop, and the Gojo hoodie is easily one of my favorites on the site. So make sure to check out the Demon Slayer, JJK, and all the other anime they have. Use the link in the description, it really supports me. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. Hashtag ad. So the fight between Gojo and Sukuna starts exactly the same way as the manga. Gojo pulls up and instantly fires off the 200% hollow purple boosted by Yuta Jaime, and the attack completely destroys the buildings between them and slams directly into Sukuna. Even Sukuna's forced to regenerate immediately after tanking it, and Gojo starts the fight smiling because now he already knows how Sukuna's gonna try to beat him. But this time, the biggest difference is that Gojo already knows about Mahoraga adapting to infinity and eventually creating the blueprint for the world-cutting slash. So instead of fighting recklessly like the original timeline, Gojo starts paying attention to every single adaptation Mahoraga makes throughout the battle. Meanwhile, everybody watching the fight immediately realizes Gojo looks completely different this time around. He's still confident, but now he's way more focused. He doesn't just stand there tanking attacks anymore. Every move Sukuna makes gets analyzed instantly because Yuji already explained the entire fight beforehand during the month of training. Then eventually the domain clashes begin. Unlimited Void and Malevolent Shrine keep colliding over and over exactly like the manga, with both of them constantly destroying each other's domains. But now Gojo already understands how dangerous Sukuna's open barrier domain really is, so he adapts faster this time and starts changing the size and structure of Unlimited Void way earlier into the fight. And honestly, this starts putting way more pressure on Sukuna than before, because in the original timeline, Sukuna was slowly learning how Gojo fought while adapting through Mahoraga. But now Gojo already knows what Sukuna's endgame is before it even happens. Then eventually Mahoraga finally enters the fight, and this is where the battle starts getting insane. Just like the manga, Mahoraga slowly starts adapting to infinity while Sukuna supports it from the background. Agito also gets summoned, turning the fight into basically a 3-on-1 against Gojo. But unlike the original timeline, Gojo already knows Mahoraga absolutely cannot be allowed to fully adapt, so this time, Gojo immediately starts targeting Mahoraga first instead of mainly focusing Sukuna. The second Mahoraga adapts enough to slash through infinity and cut Gojo's arm like it did in the manga, Gojo instantly realizes the adaptation already progressed too far. But now Gojo already knows what comes next, so instead of continuing the fight normally, Gojo immediately changes strategies and starts preparing Hollow Purple way earlier than before. Sukuna notices this instantly and starts aggressively trying to protect Mahoraga, because now even Sukuna realizes Gojo understands the entire adaptation process. Then the fight reaches the same huge moment from the manga. Gojo combines blue and red together and fires off the massive Hollow Purple explosion across the battlefield. The attack completely destroys Mahoraga and wipes out Agito instantly while massively damaging Sukuna at the same time. And honestly, at this point, everybody watching starts thinking the fight is over, because now Sukuna's heavily injured, Mahoraga's gone, and Gojo's still standing. But then Sukuna finally attempts the world-cutting slash. Just like the original timeline, Sukuna uses the blueprint Mahoraga gave him to launch a slash that cuts the space around Gojo itself, instead of targeting infinity directly. But this time, Gojo already knew it was coming. The second Sukuna starts the attack, Gojo immediately reacts and dodges out of the way before the slash can fully connect. The world-cutting slash still tears through the city behind him, completely splitting apart everything in its path, but this time, Gojo survives, and honestly, that's the exact moment Sukuna realizes he lost, because now Sukuna's heavily weakened, Mahoraga's gone, and his biggest surprise attack already failed. So Gojo immediately takes advantage of the opening and rushes Sukuna before he can recover. Sukuna tries using Cleave and Dismantle to hold him back, but Gojo completely overwhelms him in close combat and lands a full output Black Flash directly into Sukuna's chest. The impact completely crushes Sukuna through multiple buildings. Then, before Sukuna can regenerate fully, Gojo fires one final Hollow Purple at point-blank range, and this time, Sukuna actually loses. Now, since Module Yuji basically did his job and got Sukuna defeated, the entire future completely changes. Megumi still still lives since Sukuna never fully takes over his body, Higuruma still lives. And honestly, everybody that originally died during the Shinjuku Showdown arc would most likely still survive now. But obviously, the biggest change is Gojo. Gojo actually survives this timeline, then eventually, before Module Yuji gets sent back to his altered timeline, him and Gojo decide to have one final fight. Not a deathmatch or anything, but a real all-out sparring match with no holding back. And honestly, this is exactly what Gojo always wanted. Somebody stronger than him. Meanwhile, Module Yuji is using everything at once. Blood manipulation, shrine techniques, reverse curse technique, black flash, all of it. The fight goes on for hours, and eventually Module Yuji wins. Not easily, but clearly enough for everybody there to realize he actually surpassed Gojo Satoru. Then eventually Module Yuji starts getting pulled back into his altered timeline, and before leaving, the Yuji he originally switched places with finally returns to his body, except now Yuji gets to live in a way better future than the original one, since everybody survived and Gojo never died. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Make sure to go check out What If Module Yuji Was in Shibuya, because that video was honestly insane too.